This picture here is a picture of the Tiller post office. It is 16 miles from the next nearest post office. Now imagine you're 5 miles from Tiller, or 10 miles from Tiller, and another 16 miles from the next post office. Now you're talking to 40 to 50 miles round trip every single day to pick up your orders, ship your products, get your medicines. Doesn't make sense. Here's a letter from Diana Ferris, the former postmaster in Tiller. She writes, and I quote, "Tiller is one such community where in many ways time stands still and new technology is beyond the grasp. In Tiller, cellular phone service is unavailable. DSL and cable internet service are unavailable. Satellite service is overpriced, with the majority of residents in the area unable to afford it, and there is no Wi-Fi access in the area." Diana continues, "Dial-up internet is available when the poorly maintained telephone service is operational at top speeds of approximately 24 to 26 kilobytes, so slow that many websites, including the USPS, that is United States Postal Service, so slow that many websites, including USPS, time out before you can access the needed information." She continues, "The unemployment rate has risen to 13% in Douglas County." That happens to be the county where I was born in rural southern Oregon. And the lowest gas price in Tiller in the last few months has been $3.95 per gallon. For communities like this, the local post office remains the only option. And that is the end of her quote. In Tiller, the nearest post office, if Tiller were to close, is 16 miles away. A round-trip, full hour's drive through winding mountain roads, and that is assuming the best of the weather and the road conditions. Because of that difficult drive, closing the Tiller post office would have a devastating impact on small businesses that rely on the Postal Service to ship goods. Here is a letter from Alexandra Petrowski, who owns the small business Singing Falls Mohair with her husband in Tiller. She writes, I quote, "We utilize the services of the U.S. Post Office extensively. I would estimate that between 3 to 5 packages go out from our home to destinations around the world on a daily basis. We sell our product on eBay, and the business is flourishing. Our growing market is worldwide, using the U.S. mail system every day of the week, excluding Sundays. In the eBay marketplace, timely mailing is an integral part of good customer service." She continues, "As it is, the Tiller Post Office is 7 miles from our rural mountain ranch. A closure of the Tiller Post Office would require a 45-mile round-trip journey that would severely impact our modest profit margin." Alexandra concludes, "We have been engaged in this business for 30-plus years. We are seniors and rely extensively on our cottage industry to sustain our ranch operation. Would closing Tiller's Post Office mean effectively an end to the home business? The answer at this point in time is that it would seriously jeopardize our business." And that is the end of her quote. Now let's turn to Malheur County and the town of Juntura. This is Juntura Post Office, about approximately 19 miles, approximately 20 miles if we round it off, to the nearest additional post office. I have a report from a citizen of Juntura named Laura Williams. Laura details the negative impacts that closing Juntura Post Office would have on the community. Her report is 42 pages long, an incredibly researched and detailed study of the impact that closing this modest modular post office would have on the rural community of Juntura. Let me read a little bit from her report. She writes, and I quote, "Juntura residents will either have to drive to Druzy to the west to mail packages, buy money orders, and complete a variety of other transactions, or they'll have to drive east to Harper, 34 miles away, a route that winds through a river canyon dangerously choked with deer during the winter months. In essence," she continues, "Juntura is between a rock and a hard place." Now, she notes in her letter that 25% of Juntura's post office users are seniors, who would be particularly impacted by these changes, as they rely heavily on the Postal Service to receive medication and may have difficulty driving the long distances required in the particularly hazardous winter months. There is just one word in bold on the front page of her report, and it sums up the closure of the Ventura post office thus: the word disastrous. That's how she sums up her 42-page report. Her impact on this town of Ventura, this modest structure, open a couple hours a day, serving the citizens, providing the money orders, providing the stamps, providing the ability to receive orders and to send packages. Every part and role it plays, she has detailed.